Hey guys, I'm going to do a quick live video for what you do when you're getting laid off and you're either at home and they call a meeting and you're getting the news, or you're actually at the office and on site. So the one thing I will tell you is a lot of people don't know that you can absolutely negotiate your severance. Okay, so that's the one thing that I don't think a lot of people realize is you can absolutely do that. So if you are, if you know of anybody that may be going through layoffs, this might be something that you want to share with them, because there's going to be some really good things that you're going to want to have. I always recommend for people, if they know that they're going to go through a layoff, make sure you have your phone with you and you put it maybe the note section so you can quickly pull it up and have any questions that you might have. So that's the first thing I would say. So again, back to the severance, you can absolutely, negotiate that. And there's a couple of different areas that you can do that with. So the benefits in Cobra, when they're going through the separation paperwork. So when you get sat down, or if you have a meeting with HR and your manager, they will go through the separation paperwork. Don't interrupt them. Let them go through the actual, if I feel like my hair in my eye, let them go through the paperwork and go through everything first. Definitely if you're getting called into a meeting with HR, your manager or HR, bring a notepad and a pen with you, because you might unfortunately be getting some not so great news. So I would make sure that you can take notes. So let them get through the separation paperwork first. And then the things that you want to make sure that they're highlighting is they're going to be highlighting the severance package and what that entails. Now, if you've been with a company for a long time, obviously you're going to have you're going to have severance. You just don't know how much severance maybe you're going to have. Sometimes it's like, okay, you're only getting 2 weeks for every year you've worked there. Other times they're just going to give you some arbitrary severance package and you don't even know how they came up with it, but it might be pretty good. So you have no idea. If you have not looked at your offer letter, or you don't know where your original offer letter is from where you're working right now, my strong suggestion is to pull and dust off that offer letter. It should be in your email, because they're going to email it to you to your personal email address. So make sure you go and see if you can find it there. If for some reason you cannot find it in your email and you were placed by an external recruiter, headhunter, they will have that. So you can call that firm and they can email that over to you, but you should have that in your email. So make sure that you dust that off, because you really want to know what you signed, because that will be in there, like the non-compete you signed, the non-solicit and everything. So make sure you pull that out. Okay, so it's really important. So benefits. So sometimes they won't give you monetarily a number for your severance, but they will give you benefits. So they'll extend your benefits for 6 months, 3 months, whatever it might be, sometimes a year. So look at what the benefits Cobra situation is going to be. If you know you have a lot of PTO, or you've carried over PTO, make sure you listen to see what is going to happen with your PTO. Is it going to be cashed out? What the scenario is going to be. Your 401k, you're vesting within any stock options or equity, long-term, short-term incentives. Make sure that you know what the situation is there. The other thing is non-compete and non-solicit. Some of the non-competes that I am seeing from candidates that I'm coaching right now, it is pretty obnoxious, some of them. I mean, I've had 2 years, 18 months. I don't know, maybe, and these aren't not all of them are really high level. So obviously the higher level you go, they're not going to want you to work with a competitor. So you already probably know what that is when you signed your contract with that organization. But just make sure that you take a look at the non-compete and non-solicit. Each state is different. Each state has their own rules. I know Texas was going to pass it. I can't remember if they passed it already or not, but they were moving to a no non-compete state. I know California has that as well. So make sure that you know what your rights are in the state that you work in. The other thing is when you get through your questions, one thing I want you to make sure two things actually before you leave. Make sure you ask for a recommendation letter. And if they will give you a letter, and they will also do a recommendation on LinkedIn. Okay. So if they only do one or the other, I would recommend LinkedIn on recommendations. That's on your homepage, the very bottom. So if they would only do one or the other, then go with LinkedIn. If they'll do both, great. Have them do both. The other thing is when you leave that meeting, whether it's via Zoom or you're in person, make sure you are setting up a time to follow up with them in 24 to 48 hours. They will probably tell you we need to have this paperwork signed by a certain amount of time. And so you want to make sure that you do not sign anything sitting there, and do not send anything over without maybe an attorney looking at it, an employment attorney, or somebody that knows what the heck they're doing. If you have somebody, a friend who's in HR and they can look it over for you. But if it's complex, make sure you're reaching out to somebody. And also, really look at and think about what you want to negotiate, what's more important to you. For instance, if you get a severance package and it's, hey, you're going to get, $20,000, $10,000, but then they're having you sign a pretty hefty non-compete. You've got to ask yourself, is it worth it? Because if the non-compete is, 18 months, 2 years, even 12 months, and it's a certain amount of mile radius that you, working from your home, really weigh the option if that's important to you as the money, okay? Because I know I've been harping on this, but there's less and less remote jobs. So if you think, oh, that's fine, I'll just sign this and then I'll just find a remote position, just know that they're not as plentiful as you may think they are. So they're becoming less and less and less. So, and this September is pretty slow, I will tell you. Right now, I think people are being, companies are being a little conservative and hire unless it's a critical hire that they need. So just, be smart about it. Okay. So biggest things I want you guys to get out of this is please do not sign the paperwork without really reviewing it. I don't care how much money they're throwing at you. Really just take the time to think about it. If they try bullying you and telling you that you can't leave the office until you sign the paperwork or whatever, know your rights because, just know your rights, okay? Because some companies are really kind of not on the up and up on that. So just know what you're getting yourself into. And then have that information in your phone so you can kind of go through a checklist. Even if you set up that call for the next day or 2 days later, you want to make sure that you really ask the questions you need to ask. I would not, by the way, on the negotiation part, do not sit there and start negotiating that day. You want to go home and think about it. If you want to work with me and look at what you could negotiate and what's important to you, I've coached people on this, just like I've coached people at offer stage. So we can see what we can get out of the situation. The other thing, so we talked about letter of recommendation. Also, some companies will pay to have you go to a outplacement firm, or they will pay for you to get your resume redone. Especially if that company is going through a big layoff. They've probably hired like LHH to do some of that. It's Lee Hecht Harris. They're a major outplacement firm. Just know that if you're very high up as an executive or SVP, those types of bigger firms are really great for maybe early in the career mid-management. But as you get more, higher in your career, it's going to be maybe not as, it's still definitely go through it and you want to do that, but just know that you may need to go see someone else to tweak that or get a really, really good executive bio. Okay. So anyways, I hope that was helpful. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me, but just be prepared. Oh, and one last thing, your laptop. I almost forgot. Your laptop, make sure you don't have a lot of personal stuff on your laptop right now, okay? So if you think that you are gonna go through a layoff, make sure you're getting a lot of that stuff off, first and foremost, okay? Second of all is when they give you the notice that they're letting you go and you get back to your laptop, it could be off, or they could say you have 30 minutes to get anything you need to get off your laptop. But sometimes companies will just turn it off altogether. So this is my, my warning to you guys, be prepared, get your offer letter out, know what you signed when you joined that organization, all your non-compete, non-solicit, everything in there about your stock options, vesting, everything should all be in there. In your separation paperwork, they will have all the numbers to everything too. But again, get that appointment set sitting right there, because once you walk out of that office or once you get off that Zoom call, you are a faded memory. And if they're going through a lot of layoffs, they're just on to the next person. So just, be smart about it. Take a deep breath. Try not to be too, over emotional. And let them get through that, because that will collect your thoughts and your emotions. And so when you get through and questions you want to ask, you are more even keeled than maybe when you first got the news delivered. Okay. Just to give you an idea right now, kind of where we're at year to date for layoffs. So in February of this year, I think California was somewhere around, 11,005 in February. Right now, they're at like close to 55. And that's not a real shock to us, right? I mean, that's where the heavy tech, technology is getting killed. So that's where a lot of the technology is. So obviously it's a big state and they have a lot of tech there. That's going to make sense. The other states that are probably feeling the most effect is California, Texas, Washington, Jersey, and Pennsylvania. So, if you do feel like it's kind of imminent that you may get laid off fourth quarter, which is just a few days away, make sure you go on and look at what are your rights for your state. California and is going to be very different than Minnesota or than Florida. So just know kind of what you're dealing with. It's always better to be prepared. If you think you might be in a situation where you are going to negotiate your severance and you may need an employment attorney, don't wait until that day until you reach out to people to ask who a good employment attorney would be. If you only have to pay for 1 hour of their time and they're going to give you some great information, it was well worth your time. So make sure that you're getting ahead of the game on all of that, okay? I know I'm not trying to be like a Debbie Downer, but I'm just trying to arm you guys with really good information. And also, just to reframe here, not always are layoffs a bad thing, right? I mean, if you get a really great severance package and you're not 100% happy where you're at, that gives you the flexibility to go find your great next opportunity and do something big. So it's not necessarily always a negative thing, but even if it's positive, you still want to make sure that you're getting the best severance package you can and you're the most prepared you can be. Okay, bye.